Hi, everybody. I'm Brian. I know things and I do stuff. Welcome to A Richer Life, where it's not all about money. To me, a richer life is being able to spend time with family and friends and doing what you want within a certain degree and having a little bit of financial freedom and not being stressed and worried all the time. So here I will actually be talking about setting a baseline at a break-even point, getting out of debt so that we can go ahead and build upon that foundation in future and kind of move up in life. So what is debt? So debt can be categorized into two different categories. One would be good debt and one would be bad debt. Good debt would be going into debt where going into debt will provide you with a return on that investment of debt in the future, such as a home mortgage. So when you pay into a home mortgage, you eventually will be getting a certain percentage of that investment back once you own the home or a couple of years down the line. And bad debt would be most commonly referred to as something such as a credit card debt or easy payments or credit or paycheck advances, things like that. So that would be bad debt. And we want to eliminate as much as bad debt as possible. And debt isn't solely dependent upon the amount of money that you make. You can be making $100,000 a year, and if you're spending more than you make, say you're spending $125,000 a year, then you are not making the most out of your income. You are basically going into debt, and you're not putting money away and providing yourself that financial freedom that we all would like to have. So I guess the first rule is make more money than you spend, and I will go into how to make more money in another video, but we're going to go into how to spend less money and really to eliminate the credit card debt that we're in, because credit card debt is one of the worst types of debt. And really everyone that's involved in credit card debt is in it to screw you over. That's how they make money. The longer that you're in credit card debt, the more money that banks and financial institutions will be making off of you. They are basically con artists. And unfortunately, credit cards are a necessary evil in today's society, and they can be beneficial to us. But if we're not responsible with how we use credit cards, then they can quickly get ahead of us and we can be left behind and be scrambling. So first off, if you have large amounts of credit card debt, there are two different ways that you could really start eliminating that credit card debt. One would be it basically falls down to the order of your paying off your credit cards, or if you have multiple credit cards. The most rewarding way to do it would be to pay off the credit card that has the least amount of money owed on it first, because as you kind of get one done, it gives you kind of that warm, fuzzy feeling that you did something and you accomplished something in paying off that credit card. And once you pay it off, cut it up, throw it away. We're trying to get out of debt here. We don't want to worry about it. The other method, which I find a little bit more effective, would be going after the credit card that has the largest percentage of APR owned on it. This means that you are paying the most amount of interest on this credit card. I like this method more because it's reducing the amount of interest that you have. Unless that credit card has an exorbitant amount of money owed on it, this is typically the way that I like to go after it. Because, I mean, if you think about a credit card that has $100 owed on it, I guess the average credit card APR, according to Google, is 15%. I find that very unlikely. I think it's closer to like 25%. I've never received a credit card that has a 15% APR. But for example, if you have a credit card with a 15% APR and you don't spend any money on it over 1 year's time, you're roughly going to be owing $465 on that credit card based on the $100 that you owed. Now, if we go closer to reality, where you have maybe a 25% APR, then you'll be owing about $1,164 on that same $100 credit card that you owe. So it's very important to be paying off these credit cards in full. And that's one of the reasons why I like to go after credit cards that have a higher amount of APR first, just because it's not compounding the debt that I have. Some quick ways that we could possibly go about eliminating the credit card debt in a quicker fashion would be with credit card balance transfers. This would be moving one debt all into one location. Unfortunately, typically you need to have a pretty good credit rating, and you're typically going to be needing to pay some sort of fee to do this. Again, credit card companies make this difficult because they make money by having you screwed over, and this is one of the ways they do this. If you are lucky enough to be part of a credit unions will sometimes offer personal loans. As long as you can get a personal loan with a much lower APR percentage that you owe on it, this would be one opportunity that you could take out a personal loan to go ahead and consolidate that debt, or take out a personal loan, use that money to pay off your credit cards, and then go after paying off that personal loan. Another thing would be if you just start getting into credit card problems, call up the credit card right away when you get your first late payment or something along those lines, and ask them to forgive the first one. A lot of credit card companies will forgive the first late payment, and you can get away from that. If you call them up and they aren't nice enough the first time, I would call up a couple days during the week, see if you can get someone else, and see if they would be happy enough to help you out. That would be one thing. Now, other than obviously paying off the credit cards, how can we go about reducing the amount of money that we're spending? That would be one thing. I'm not telling you to not go out to eat every night, although you shouldn't be going out to eat every night. Going out to dinner should be a rewarding experience. And in fact, a lot of times when I go out to dinner, I'm not as impressed with the food that I order than what I could cook at home. I mean, I could go down, get a case of beer, a couple nice steaks, and cook them at home, and it's going to be costing me less money than if I went out with someone and ate out. So food is obviously one way that we can kind of reduce the amount of money that we spend, but that's not to say don't have fun in life. Just have your fun in portions. Another thing would be shopping therapy. I know it's quite popular, and if you are in debt, it can be one of those things that makes you feel better to go out and do shopping. Is it worth it in the long run? Realize that as we're trying to get out of this credit card debt, this is not a long-term lifestyle that we're trying to do. We don't want to be frugal our entire lives. We just want to get out of debt. Once we get out of debt, then we can get a better understanding of our finances, and then we can do shopping, buy an extra pair of shoes when we want it. But when we're in debt, this is not really the time to be doing that. A good way to go after credit card debt is to look at the recurring payments that you have. Reducing the recurring payments that we have is an easy way to gain a little bit of extra money. And for an example, if you have a car insurance, car insurance is funny because you call the places and they are incredibly nice, and they tell you got to protect that investment. You got a really nice car. You can have the junkiest car ever. They're going to tell you it's great, and they're going to try and upsell you to a higher insurance policy. If we're in debt, we want to be able to reduce the amount of payments that we're making. Again, this is short-term payment reduction until we are out of credit card debt or out of debt in general, and we are building upon our lifestyle. Another thing is student loans. If we have student loans, student loans will typically have a pause period or a forgiveness period. You don't need to be constantly paying it off. There are terms and conditions around this. So look into your student loans and putting a pause on it. A lot of times they won't incur additional fees and interest for a certain period of time if you are putting a pause on that. Just kind of going over a couple things that we might have recurring payments on. Cell phones would be another one. If you live in a large metropolitan area, there's a lot of Wi-Fi that's available. A lot of people don't really know this, but you don't need to have a cell phone plan. You can literally be doing most of your stuff off of Wi-Fi. You can do Wi-Fi calling. You can be doing Wi-Fi internet searches and things like that. 911 is always going to be available to any cell phone that you have. It doesn't need to have a SIM card. It doesn't need to have a cell phone policy. So if we're able to reduce a cell phone bill for a couple months, get that money and be throwing it towards those debts, that would be another thing. Same thing as such as cable television. I mean, we're watching YouTube, so I doubt many of us have cable television, but that would be another way that we can reduce it, or reduce the amount of subscriptions we have to those types of services. If we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime, we have Hulu, we got those things, reduce it down to one, and therefore get more money in your pocket so that we can go ahead and go after those debts. And I mean, in reality, if you have money for a rainy day fund, I would consider being in credit card debt that rainy day. Use some of that money to go ahead and eliminate some of those credit cards that you might be having exorbitant fees on. Well, another thing that I just touched on right off the bat was pay your credit cards in full, always in full. I like to look at my credit card statements and make sure that everything's correct on them, but I also have my auto payment system set up. So I do want to be seeing what I am spending on credit cards, but I also want to have that auto payment system set up in the event that I forget. That way it'll automatically pay it, and then I can go ahead and make sure that everything's fine. But you want to pay it off in full. You don't want to be doing the minimum payments. That's where you start getting in trouble, and you want to be looking at all your statements on a monthly basis at least and make sure that everything is correct and paying it off in full and wiping the slate clean. So beyond reducing of spending, unfortunately, we need to make more money. I will be making another video on the job that we have and how to be getting a better job. But we got to have side hustles going on. We got to be bringing in extra income, getting a new job. That takes time, and it's not the most beneficial. So we got to have some side hustles going, whether this is going through all the old stuff that you have in your garage or wherever it is at your parents' house. Go through your old stuff, look to see what you really need, what you really want, reevaluate your life. Go ahead and have garage sale, go out to things like that and sell stuff. Another thing is doing some weekend labor, things like this. It's hard to be starting a lawn mowing company because you have to be doing that on a weekly basis, but something such as borrowing a pressure washer and going around to people that have dirty driveways, knocking door to door, asking them to do those types of tasks, that can be bringing you hundreds of dollars on a weekend over a day if you're out there hustling it up. Another place is Craigslist, for example. There's a whole section on Craigslist of free stuff. Can you find some free stuff on Curb Alerts? Go pick that up. Go flip it. Start a garage sale. Take it down to a flea market. Sell that stuff. Craigslist, around me at least, is notorious for having people getting rid of chopped down trees. A tree fell over in a storm or someone's just getting rid of it. They cut it down. It's in their yard. Free wood. Now you can go there. You can collect that wood. You can bundle it up, and you can go to where people have fires, such as like on the beaches for bonfires. You bundle it up. You sell wood for $10 a bundle. People that didn't bring wood, or they're having a crazy bonfire, they want some extra wood, they will be willing to do that for you, or not do that for you, but they'll be willing to purchase some wood. And really, unfortunately, right now, if we're in debt, we need to hustle. We need to reduce our spending. We got to increase our income, and we got to get out of debt, get to the break-even mark, and then we can go ahead and start building upon that and building a richer life for ourselves. Thanks, everyone, for watching.